Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another election prediction video. This time, we're going to be covering what is Trump's best case scenario for the 2024 election. So, what's the most biggest win he could get hypothetically, and this is realistic. So, we're not going to say he's like flipping New York red because honestly, that's not ever happening. The most he's be able to get it's probably down to a likely margin. I don't ever think it's ever going to flip red. So it's not going to be an unrealistic video. This is just going to be covering what's the most realistic landslide he could get against Joe Biden. That's pretty much what it's going to be about. But yeah, let's get right into it. So I'm already started filling out some states here. But Massachusetts, Rhode Island, these states are just never getting down to likely. Same with Vermont. It's just way too Democratic. Connecticut, Biden won this state by 20 back in 2020. It still wouldn't go below 10 in my opinion. Same with Maryland, D.C., Delaware. It's his home state. However, New Jersey, New York, yeah, hypothetically, in Trump's best case scenario, would involve these states going down to about 9-point wins for Biden. So, yeah, they could be dragged down to that margin or so. Wouldn't flip, though. That's because that's just pretty much impossible for a Republican to win New York at this point. We even saw the governor's race, even with the best possible Republican, it still didn't flip. So let's keep on going in with this. Yeah, Nebraska's first. That would totally flip as a safe Republican district. Iowa and Ohio, yeah. Trump's already winning these states by over 10 just normally in my predictions, so these states would for sure be just safe Republican ones. Even the state of Florida, yeah, in a best case scenario, Trump would win over 10%. I honestly think it's possible Florida could go that Republican in the 2024 election just based off the party registration numbers being so brutal for Democrats long term. I could totally see that occurring at this point. So I'm be moving Florida as a safe Republican state in a best case scenario for Trump. Texas, however, you'd probably be able to get into like a 9-point victory. I still don't see it going over 10 in a best case. It's just a lot of urban areas in Texas having huge population growth that Democrats are still doing extremely well in those counties. So that's just going to prevent Texas from going as a safe Republican state. State of Alaska, with ranked choice voting, it's a bit hard for Republicans to win over 10 here at this point, but in a best case scenario, Trump would definitely win the state of Alaska, probably by about 11 or 12 points, even with ranked choice voting. Okay, Colorado, I forgot to fill this one in, but it isn't a safe state. It would be likely in a best case Trump scenario. That's the most he can get it as like competitive wise. I still don't even think it would go down to lean blue. North Carolina and Georgia, in the polling, he's already ahead by a likely margin here. So, again, I kind of doubt those polls showing him winning by this much in these two states. So, in a best case scenario, he retains that lead and Biden doesn't gain among those undecideds. In the state of Nevada, Trump's also currently ahead here by a likely margin. So, in a best case scenario, he holds that polling lead by a likely margin or so. Same with Arizona, however, wouldn't go down to likely. I just think there's a lot of anti-Trump Republicans here that voted for Biden in 2020 that are probably going to vote for Biden again in 2024 because you just dislike him a lot. There's a lot of moderate Republicans here that are just pretty much turning into Democrats at this point. However, currently the polls do show Trump narrowly ahead here, and this is one state I kind of doubt his lead in. But in a best case scenario, he just retains his lead, splits undecideds 50-50 with Joe Biden, so he wins here by a lean Republican margin. Okay, what other states are we going to head to next? The state of New Mexico, even in a best case scenario, I still don't see Trump flipping the state. It's just a lot of Latinos in this state, unless they just completely revert to Republicans or Republicans get a really good margin among them in New Mexico. I just highly doubt it. Sure, maybe Latinos in Texas and Florida are trending Republican. That doesn't mean everywhere they're trending that way, however. But Florida, yeah, it's definitely one of the states where Latinos are just becoming very Republican. Let's see here. Virginia, even in a best case scenario, it's still just think of those suburbs are just going to kill Donald Trump in this state. And it's just going to prevent him from getting those good margins. It's really just going to mess him up. So I have this still going to Biden by about 2 points. That's like the best margin Trump could whittle it down here. It's just a very unfavorable state for him. It's very establishment. And populist politicians never really do well in the state of Virginia in the first place. In a best case scenario, it would definitely involve Trump winning the state of Maine. I definitely think he could do it. One poll only had Biden's lead here in the lean blue category. And Maine second, I would have this as a safe Republican district. And Biden would definitely still win Maine's first. It's a very Democratic district. In the state of New Hampshire, even though Trump's down here by a likely margin, it's still somewhat of a swing state. In a best case scenario, he could maybe whittle down Biden's lead and win over those undecideds to narrowly flip it in his best case scenario. It's just a very unlikely state for him to flip. Same with Maine. Honestly, you might see Maine as more Republican than New Hampshire in the 2024 election. I can honestly see it happening just due to more college graduates just in New Hampshire than Maine, I'm pretty sure. That's the biggest reason why. So education polarization. In Nebraska's second district, it's a very unfavorable district towards Donald Trump. For a suburban one, it's trending away from Republicans, but in a best case scenario, he would be able to narrowly flip this by a tilt Republican margin or so. And these four Rust Belt states, the state of Wisconsin, I wouldn't put it as likely Republican. Again, most polls show it as a dead even race. So in a best case scenario, he comfortably wins the state by about 3 points or so, or maybe 4 points for stretching it out that much. The state of Michigan, some polls have him ahead here by a likely margin, but the most recent ones are showing it as a much closer race. I'd still put it as a lean Republican margin in Trump's best case. I think he would probably be able to win the state by, at most, 3 or 4 points like Wisconsin. That's the same reasoning with Pennsylvania. He wouldn't get it to a likely Republican margin, but he will be able to win it by 3 or 4 in a best case scenario. So I have this as the same here. The state of Minnesota, if the third parties get on the ballot in this state and they split the vote enough with Joe Biden, like Cornel West, Jill Stein, RFK Jr., if they split the vote enough against Joe Biden, then Trump could narrowly eke out a win, because so far Biden's like up here in Minnesota by 3. So let's assume those third parties get in the ballot and split the vote enough, then Trump can conceivably win the state. He nearly won it back in 2016. So in a best case scenario where those third parties are on the ballot here, I could definitely see Trump ending up narrowly eking out this a super narrow win in the state of Minnesota. Again, this state voted against Reagan back in his landslide in 1984. So it's a huge stretch to say it, but if the third party vote share is high enough, Trump could narrowly eke out a win here against Joe Biden. It's just dependent on those more left-wing third parties getting on the ballot for that state. In other states, maybe the third party vote share could hurt him. Potential states that could flip Republican, like I said, maybe Virginia, New Mexico, but kind of doubt that. I think those are a bit of stretches. Same with New York and New Jersey. The best he'll be able to get it, like I said before, is a likely blue margin. Pretty much the same reasoning with Colorado. I don't really see any other states going down to likely. Maybe Illinois, but again, Chicago, it just powers Illinois to a safe blue state pretty much every single time. So Biden won the state by about 17 in 2020. I still don't see it getting down to likely. And the other states here, I still think they would be safe blue. But let me know what you think about it. Do you think a Trump's best case scenario could be a bigger victory than this? Let me know in the comments down below. Other than that, thanks so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, highly recommend subscribing if you enjoy politics and prediction videos like this video here. But other than that, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video.